I made 244 vertical ads for clients already this year. And that's not even counting any of the big commercial ads we've done or anything I've edited for my own company or for our Instagram, which means if I keep this up, I'm on track to make somewhere around 320 to 370 videos by the end of the year. I've never actually sat down and figured that out until today, what those numbers are, but it made me realize how crazy the endless loop of making videos seems to be getting. Okay. This video is a little bit different. I wasn't actually going to do a YouTube video today, but it's been a bit of a long and stressful day over here at Outlands, and I just kind of needed something to take some time and make something that has no agenda, no client expectations, and just purely my thoughts, sending them out into the void. So I hope you enjoy. And I also want to preface it up front. I don't want to take this in too negative of a direction. I'm truly, genuinely grateful for the life I have, the business I've been blessed with, the clients, all of it. But I think it's important sometimes to share a bit of the reality too, like the hard things and the stuff that I personally struggle to navigate. Not in the sense of complaining, more just like, I don't know, see this as a brain dump in the interest of being authentic. Because what I'm talking about doesn't have to do with any client in particular. It doesn't have to do with any project in particular. I'm grateful for all of our clients and everything we do. This is just me letting people know that nobody's got this 100% figured out, and more just my thoughts on where my little corner of the industry seems to kind of continue to keep heading. So let me back up and tell you what actually got me thinking about all this today. Sitting with that number, 244 videos, and it's only August, I sometimes wonder about the guys who first started filmmaking. Like the original movies, like when movies first became a thing. What would they think of today? How much everything's changed, how much the whole industry seems to have kind of shifted to this quantity over quality approach, because sometimes it's just really hard for me to see myself as an artist anymore. And I ask myself, is this really why I got into this? And a lot of the times, if I'm being totally honest with myself, the answer is no. I really didn't think I'd be doing what I'm doing every day, running this video production company as a 27-year-old living in Orange County, California. It used to be, in my experience, that the expectation for a project was a single 60 to 90 second video. It lived on your website, or it was run as an ad, or was one of those polished brand pieces meant to give a client's company some heart and soul. And I miss those days. I really do. Every project felt like his own little film. It felt really intentional, more focused on the craft, and just closer to what I always pictured filmmaking would look like for me as a career. And now don't get me wrong. This is also the path I've chosen. And those projects do still exist, and we still do get to do them here and there. And I wouldn't say that the art of filmmaking is dead. It's just become drowned out by a lot of the noise. And what makes up the real bread and butter of the foundation of our business mostly looks like this. The algorithm on social platforms moves fast, and to keep up, we're often producing between 8 to 12 different reels within a couple weeks, each one fully original concept, each one needing a hook that lands, pacing that's quick enough to hold attention, props, actors, everything, and visuals that still feel commercial level. And I don't want to exaggerate here, but when you're doing that across 10 different clients, that workload adds up super fast. And every video basically starts to become its own little micro commercial. And then it starts all over again the next month and the month after that. And then you add in holiday deliverables when November rolls around, and for 1 or 2 person team, that means constantly wearing a lot of hats over and over again. But I've also accepted this. Over the years I've been doing this, I've come to understand that in order to achieve client success and satisfaction, I have to kind of put my artist aside and put on my business owner and problem solver hat. But when you do that over and over with no outside artistic output, I think it just kind of slowly keeps quieting that creative side of you, which personally, I've found to be very difficult to find a balance in. And I wanted to talk about this because I did make another video talking about the mindset shift I had to make in order to actually start allowing Outlands to, at the end of the day, just be a business and not so much my creative output or my baby. And I will stand by that because it's just the type of work that I do. But let's get back to the endless loop of content. So when I was first starting out, I kind of had this idea in my head of running a production company or working as a DP or a director or something like that. But it was never about like vertical content or social media content. And I definitely never thought about the endless loop of it either. So that's where my head was starting out. And now let's look at like where it actually landed, purely from a business standpoint for a second. Almost every client we have through Outlands tends to have an ongoing need for content, which is honestly really good for business because of how demanding the social platforms and marketing needs are these days. And when we take on a project, it's usually a retainer somewhere between 6 to 12 vertical deliverables, or it's like a 60-second commercial with a bunch of vertical cut downs or vertical ads looped into it, or like product detail ads or something like that. And the reality is I don't really ever post any of that stuff. The stuff I usually post is the stuff you see here on the channel over over on our Instagram or on our website or whatever, it's the cool, fun, horizontal stuff. And that's not the hundreds of vertical reels that we're pumping out every single year. And I've thought about this a lot, and I don't know if it's just me, but I'd honestly be curious how many other agencies and production companies out there spend the majority of their time and resources making vertical short form ads and UGC content for clients, because for us, that's like honestly about 70% of what we do. And I think there's a bit of a misconception that when you run a video production company, especially in 2026, you just get to make cool commercials all day. Well, for us, that's just not really the reality. We definitely do that, but it's maybe 1 or 2 of those a month, and the rest is just vertical short form. So I guess there's not really a point to this video at all. I don't know. I know I usually talk in the beginning of my videos about sharing the ups and downs of this business, and I'm honestly not sure if this is really an up or a down. It's just really a brain dump, because I have a hard time accepting sometimes how endless this loop kind of feels. And like I was saying earlier, from a business standpoint, this makes total sense. There's plenty of demand for this stuff. We're never short on being busy, but I do sometimes wonder if there's ever going to be another side to this. Like if this will ever change. I've thought a lot about trying to do maybe a bit more YouTube and a little less of the production company. And it's a thought I've had more than once, but obviously this channel doesn't make any money yet. And so I can't just go quit and just start doing this. I think this endless loop of videos just feels like this unending need to be creative all the time. And I think it's burning me out a little. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining here. I'm actually super grateful, like I said earlier, that there's this much demand for video right now. It helps me pay the bills. It means I don't have to go work a 9 to 5. I get to just make videos for a living. And if I look at things that way, then aren't I technically getting exactly what I always wanted? On paper, I am, but sometimes I wish I could just put the whole world on pause for a second, because everything is just needed so fast all the time. Every video is needed yesterday. The expectation for quality and vertical content is sometimes so high, it just feels like as a society, we've just quietly accepted that producing huge amounts of commercial level content at a fraction of what it used to cost is just a good way to do things now. And I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't. I get that gear is like way more affordable now and the barrier to entry is way lower and all of that kind of stuff, but I can't help but feel like maybe this isn't going in a good direction. I don't know. And maybe I need to raise my prices. Maybe I need to structure my business better. Maybe I'm just not delegating enough. All of those things could be true, but I'm finding it harder and harder every year to just keep this up and produce this much content. It's exhausting, really. And here's the thing. This isn't some problem that's like been baked into filmmaking since the beginning of time, since the beginning of filmmaking. Producing shows and movies has always been a ton of work. Sure, that's obvious, but this mass factory level pace short form content production is new to us as a society. And even though this has been around for a little while now, I think a lot of us are still trying to figure out how to balance it, how to keep it sustainable. And maybe this is all by design. Maybe everything was built to be needed so fast that eventually it'll just be humanly impossible to keep up with it. And that's where AI comes in and takes over. I don't know. That's getting a little doomsday there, and that's not what this channel is about, but I do think it's interesting enough to give it some thought. Doomsday tangents aside, I think honestly the hardest part is I see it play out in my mind and in my personal life too. Like with how quick and fast and attention grabbing all of this stuff needs to be all of the time, I find it like in my own mind, I'm like rushing through my days. I'm finding it really hard to slow down, working at like this breakneck pace when I'm working, and constantly fighting the clock to get everything done in time. And sometimes I'll just reach a point where I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I don't have to get all of this done today. I can get it done tomorrow if I want to, or the next day, or maybe it's not even due till the end of the week. I don't know. If you feel like me or you're in the same boat, I just want you to know you're not the only one. As filmmakers, especially ones who started their career before the big boom of vertical short form content, it's kind of a weird thing to navigate. And I don't want to wake up 5 years later either, just having been stuck in my ways and out of a job because I didn't keep up with the times or I wasn't willing to pivot. I suppose I should probably add a hopeful part here, which honestly, the only thing I just keep coming back to is asking God to help guide my way, to help navigate this and to give me the strength to keep delivering successfully to my clients. But at the same time, trying to carve out as much time as I can here and there to take a break and to not burn myself out. I don't really have some big takeaway for this video. I think this is just one of those moments where I just kind of needed to say out loud what I've been thinking about for the last few years. And I don't think the answer is to stop making videos. I don't think the answer is to reject vertical content either. It's clearly where people are watching. It's where brands are spending money. And it's allowed me to build a business that I'm I'm incredibly thankful for. I just don't want to lose the reason I picked up a camera in the first place. And I don't want to get so caught up in just delivering the next reel and keeping up with this loop, the next ad, the next revision, that 5 years go by and I realize I haven't made anything that actually meant something to me. So maybe that's the balance I'm trying to find. Keep serving clients well, keep adapting, keep building a business, but also make room to create things that remind me why I fell in love with filmmaking in the first place. And I think that's maybe why I'm making these YouTube videos, not because they make money, because they don't, at least not yet, but because they slow me down for a second and they let me think. They remind me that there's still a person behind this production company. So I don't know. If you're another filmmaker, agency owner, editor, or creator feeling like you're kind of just stuck in this same endless loop, I hope you know that you're not the only one. This is something that we are all still figuring out, how to balance this, how to price it, how to scope it, whether to even treat it as true filmmaking or not, depending on your opinion. I don't have the answers to it, but I do know, well, it can be exhausting sometimes. I think it's an exciting time to be living in because there's just never been so much of a need for creatives, both small and well-known. And that's a real big opportunity just waiting to be tapped into. So if you look at it that way, you just kind of have to find out the right balance with it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.